All right, hello guys. Welcome back. We're going to be doing another live stream. We're doing a throwback stream. I looked back and I was going to retitle this stream. And it was a while since we have done a bracket stream. So, going to do a little bit of a refresher at the beginning of the stream or the video for people that are rewatching this after it's gone live. But this is going to be a bracket, very similar to anyone that, I don't know, follows like March Madness, if you're American or anything like that, where you have a bracket system where I'm going to put in chat a poll for you guys to vote. You're going to choose, again, which Targaryen character you like best. I did like the top 50 Targaryen, so again, not all of them are on here, but I think I got at least most of the main ones. But again, not all of them are on here, or we would be here probably for days. So, what is going to happen, I'm going to put them in the poll, and in the chat, you guys can vote on which one you guys want to see go on. And more or less, this is supposed to simulate like a bracket situation where eventually we get all the way down to the number one. And yeah, so that is kind of the broad overview of what we're going to do. This is going to have nothing to do with me. It's going to be all for you guys. I might maybe influence it at times, give my opinion on who I would pick, but for the most part, it's going to be all up to you guys. So anyone rewatching this on a video, if you want to participate, be in on the streams. Hi, Jesse, and I'm glad you're on A Clash of Kings. Great book. Probably, it's not my favorite book, but actually it is my favorite book. What am I talking about? For some reason, when you put that in the chat, I thought of Storm of Swords for a second. That is my favorite book, Jesse, so I'm happy for you. But yeah, I think most people, it would be a Storm of Swords. Okay, guys, since Asher reminded me, also, hi, Diamond. Hi, Evie. Hi, Mar. I'm going to get my cat. I will be right back. And yeah, Ashley, entertain the people. I will be right back. All right. So, this is the cat. He is very old, but he's he can't stay long because my mom's about to feed him. But yeah, this is my cat Sky. He is named after Luke Skywalker. So yeah. Say bye. All right. All right, so I'm back. But yeah, he is 17, so he's an old fart. He's an old fart. What did I miss here? All right, hi, random stuff. I'm kind of out of breath. I just ran up down the stairs like 3 times, but you need music to fill blank air time, man. I've thought about it, and I used to do it on Twitch when I did like streams on Twitch. It wasn't for this channel, but the issue with that is it's like I'm very afraid to put any type of copyright music on here, so I would have to do like non-copyright music, which I could do. I just have to kind of look it up. So can't complain, waiting for my dinner to thaw. Love to see that. What are you going to be making? Random stuff. Random stuff. So originally his name was Skywalker, which was kind of dumb. Okay, like the name Skywalker is not dumb, but for a cat, it's like so. That was the name me and my dad wanted, but then my grandma basically shortened down his name to Sky. So, yeah. And thank you. He appreciates the compliments. A fat, cute cat. Haley, trust me, he used to be much fatter. He's 17 now, so he doesn't move around as much, and he doesn't, like, eat as much, so he's not as big as he used to be, but yeah. The cat of my parents is getting 18 this year. That is crazy. Like, my cat, you know, he's getting up there. And I can tell, but yeah. Congratulations to that cat, living a fantastic life. Okay, so I'm going to start a poll while we're just kind of sitting here talking. But again, these were all randomized. I did not have any type of say in the way that these are placed. So usually when you did these, like the poll, or not the poll, these little power rankings here would determine the first seed, so who is like the most likely to win. I had nothing to do with that. I basically put all of the list of names I had down. I put it into a random name generator, and this is kind of what it came out as. So the first one we're going to have is Rhaena and Dany. Also, I put things along their names just so it would make it easier for people to know which person I'm talking about, because the Targaryens like to reuse names a lot. I don't expect this to be a very close one. By the way, this is the Rhaena. That was the Black Queen or whatever. Is that how you say it? Hold on. The Black Bride. Why did I say the Black Queen? But we have Rhaena, who, again, this was Aegon's wife first, which is Aenys' first son. Then became Maegor's wife. So, very dark history. She is a character that, in my opinion, didn't have a great life in many ways. And then you also have Dany, and this is just the Dany from the normal show. So, again, I feel like I know who's going to win this one already. This is also off of, like, your favorite, or maybe what you want to... It can be on anything that you want to rate as. Personally, if I was going about this, I would just do my favorite. You could also do the one that's the best in your eyes, but yeah. 17, he's a Maester Aemond, yeah. Did I miss some comments here? Ashara Dane is young Griff's mother. Her eyes clear is purple. Ashara is a Dane. Why does she have purple eyes? Targaryen bastard, maybe. Ashara is pregnant and runs away to Essos. I could see possibly that Ashara Dane could be the mother of young Griff. I don't exactly hate that theory. But as far as, I don't know if we're going to lean into the Septa Lemore theory with this one, Mar. But I don't like the idea that Lemore is Ashara, so I don't know if you're going that full route as well. Because Lemore doesn't have really any of the features that Ashara has. Again, like you mentioned, the eye color here is a big thing there. She doesn't really look like Ashara at all, so I don't know if you're going to go that far, but yeah. I have no idea what that is, random stuff. I have no idea. Matthew, you are not late. Cheese and rice. Ooh, cheese and rice sounds good. My cat is 14. Love to see that, Ashley. What's your cat's name? Daemon? Yes. Also, another thing I want to point out in this. I did include some of Aegon's bastards. I thought it made sense for them to be on here. Also, there's some other things on here that might be a little controversial, even though, I don't know. It's hard to do the Targaryens on, are we calling them a full-blood Targaryen? Do they have some Targaryen blood? Do they even have the name? So there's certain ones that I put on here that I thought deserve to be on here, but they don't really have the Targaryen name. They just have the blood. So, for instance, we see, like, Rhaenyra's children with Laenor get the Velaryon tag. And I even put Laenor on here because, again, his mother is Rhaenys Targaryen, and he's more well-known. I put Laena on here as well. So I just wanted to put that in there as well. I want a cat, but my husband said we can't get one because we have a dog, and he doesn't think that we'll get along if we get one. Yeah, Evie, I think the best way to go about doing that would probably be to get, like, a puppy and a kitten together so that they grow up together, so they get used to each other. I don't know how that would work with, like, a dog and then a cat. It would kind of have to be, like, especially, Evie, I don't know how long you've had your dog, if you had your dog since they were a puppy. If your dog is, like, very new to having a cat around, that could be something that maybe wouldn't be great. I know my aunt, she had a dog and a cat almost like the entire time I've been alive, but it was kind of different because I feel like, you know, the cat and the dog were like kind of together, and then you would see like one or the other outlive the other, so the other was already used to having a dog around. So That would be something that I agree with. You know, you have to think about that when you try to get a cat. Roasted potato, roasted blood sausage, and onions that get pan fried for a bit to make it. Ooh, random stuff. You want to come cook for me tonight? That'd be wonderful. Anything interesting happen? Well, I brought my cat upstairs, so you did miss that. Hi, Noah. This is the Song of Ice and Fire, Danny, Matthew. I do think Reyna is a fascinating character, and she kind of got unfortunate. She went against Danny. Unfortunate. -10 with 3 teeth. Interesting, Violet. Interesting. I love that we have a lot of cats in this community. That's what we love to see. Sansa will marry young Griff in order to unite the two houses, Stark and Targaryen, and Jon will most likely marry Jane Westerling and raise Robb's child, and Rickon may die or be a lost cause wildling. I definitely could see either of those possibilities for Rickon. I don't think that Jane Westerling is going to marry Jon or that she has his kid. And I think it would be interesting here is, like, what would Jon do, right? So if he, in this situation where Sansa was to marry young Griff, how would that work, right? So Danny comes over, does Jon end up favoring young Griff more? And how does that work if Danny then is the one to kill young Griff, and maybe, you know, Sansa, you know, if she was his queen? That'd be a very interesting one. She's long fur, all black with a few sandy splotches on her belly. And her name is Misty. Oh, that's cool. I like that name, actually. Where's the Brotherhood? I don't know, Twist. I don't know. Aegon's bastards were all legitimized, so they were all Targaryens. Glad to see them on the list. Yeah, I know, Matthew, but, like, some of them, for instance, didn't take the actual Targaryen name. So, I don't know. I mean, actually, like, none of them did, but still. Oh, that's cool, Evie. Two cats a hero boy. It's either Danny or Val. There is no other. Oh, no. But yeah. So there's some tough matchups. I wanted to, like, look at this. But also, hi, Jim. How are you? But, oh, I think I minimized the wrong thing. All right. I wanted to show you guys one that I think is absolutely unfortunate as hell. So if we scroll down here, you see Aegon the First versus Aegon the Fifth, then fights Aegon the Sixth or Fagon. That's kind of wild to me. But, again, Random Generator did their thing. That's all I'll say. We also, you know, we have Maegor the Cruel as the #1 seed. I kind of think it's a little interesting. But, you know, you guys might be like, maybe he deserves it. All right, it looks like Danny's going to win. I don't think there really is a point with lingering here. I don't feel like Danny was just not going to win that. How do I start this? All right, let's start the tournament. All right. So, Danny won, and we'll just say it was 5-0. I don't know. I didn't even look at the votes. So Danny will then play Maegor the Cruel. Interesting little thing there. So now we have Baelor Breakspear and Laena Velaryon. Now, I hope you guys pick the right one here. You know, they're both good characters and all, but I mean, it's Baelor Breakspear here, guys. I mean, I don't know. You guys can pick whoever you want here, but I'm gonna give you guys a little nudge that I think you should probably pick Baelor. Maybe I'm throwing too much heat here at Laena, but you guys do whatever makes you happy. That was because of Daeron the Shitty. They tried to cover up the legitimacy of the bastards. I don't know about that, because even Bloodraven, who was on Daeron's side, didn't really... I don't know. That's true, Violet. It was bound to happen. It's unfortunate that, like, all of, like, the better Targaryens, or the Aegons, not Targaryens, all the better Aegons were in one little bracket, but, you know, whatever. Jon will desire human flesh after he comes back to life, if you know what I mean. Oh god, Mar. Oh god. You're not wrong. Funny story, is originally supposed to be Mystery, named after an evil pet SpongeBob had in the cartoon, but my mom misheard my sister and I and said Misty, so we went with it and changed. I like the name better, okay? I like the name Misty. I like that name. And also you can be like, hey, I named it after Pokemon. So, you know, you can always say that. You want to hear what my other cats? So my other cat's name was Smokey. So I had two cats that were named Sky and Smokey. It was kind of, yeah. Smokey was named just because, like, he was a very gray cat. So it just kind of fit. I didn't pick the name for that cat either. I had input in the first one. The second one, I wasn't, you know. And the second one was like a stray that we had outside, and it was definitely older than the cat I brought up. So yeah, that cat died a couple years ago. But yeah, those are the names for my cats. They're all like atmosphere stuff, technically, I guess. I adore Lena, but Baylor is such an interesting character. I think he would have made a great king. I agree. I think Baylor would have done a lot of great, and I think he probably would have even been better than his father, in my opinion. It was Bloodraven's idea, the sly bastard. It could have been. Meanwhile, my mother just decided Morley as the name for my parents' cat purely because that was like the first thing that came to her mind. You know, sometimes you just got to act on impulse. Sometimes that's just what you have to do. Sometimes you overthink things. You might as well just go with the first thing that comes to mind. All right, Baylor wins pretty easily. Again, this wasn't a very close match. So again, we'll tally this one up for Baylor. He'll move on. We don't know who he's going to play, but we also have Lanor versus Viserys II. Now, this is a very interesting one, okay? Because we have, on one hand of it, we have Lanor, right? Who, again, was the husband of Rhaenyra. Viserys II is a product of, again, Daemon and Rhaenyra's, like, marriage or whatever. It's just a little interesting, in my opinion. I'm just gonna say, I like both of these characters. I would say if I was voting, maybe I shouldn't tell you guys who I would vote for until after, because it'll probably sway the vote a little. So I'm not gonna say anything, but I do particularly like both of these characters. If you've seen my let's just say my Targaryen discussion videos, you'll know how I feel about these characters, or at least one of them. But yeah, go ahead, go crazy. Let me know what you guys think here on this. Do you think we are overthinking? I mean, books have been around for more than 20 years. Oh yeah, we definitely are overthinking, Mar. I think on a lot of theories in the community, I think it's a product of we've had so long to think about these theories that we've kind of looked at the base theory that a lot of people have agreed with or thought is like the normal one. And we've said, okay, well, let's create something new. I think, you know, Preston Jacobs is one of the most creative people, and he does a lot of that. I'm not saying like his theories are inherently wrong, but, you know, I think some of the more outlandish ones that don't really seem as likely, I think is a product of that. I have been a big proponent that I have thought that Ned Nishara is kind of a bit of people overthinking it. And I know that gets into a whole different rabbit hole that we're not going to go down, but I think that's fair. I mean, these books have been out for so long now, and, you know, we haven't gotten a new book in, 12 years. I definitely think that because of that time frame, overthinking has happened within the community. Most certainly a top 5. Sterling, which one did you think was a top 5? I saw your comment, and I was talking about some other stuff. So who do you think is a top 5? This was hard because the show Laenor actors did such a great job with the character that my perception of book Laenor totally changed. Yeah, that's a great point. That's another thing, is that when we get to a character like Viserys the First, how will you guys rank him or put him up against some of these other Targaryens when we look at the show, which I think was much more of a better take of Viserys' character as Fire and Blood is. Like, Fire and Blood does not paint Viserys in that kind of a light. So how do you guys rank him as a character? Rhaenyra and Laenor are platonic soulmates to me. They love and respect each other. That is what made their marriage. Interesting. I like that take, Evie. I like it. That's something that we do not see in a lot of relationships. It's one of the biggest reasons why relationships can fail, is like respect. You know, respecting what other people's interests are, what they want to do in their life, and respecting that. That's something, you know, that's very admirable. Viserys was kind of badass for the movie, pulled with the axe. I mean, granted they wouldn't have harmed him at all, but he stepped up for his wife and did so in an epic way. I agree. I detested book Laenor, but show Laenor has become one of my favorite characters of the arc. I would agree with, like, I liked the performance of the character. I don't think Laenor is like that great of a character for me in the show, because I don't know how, again, Laenor's character and how I look at his character will depend on how his storyline wraps up, but I don't know. Oh, Baelor, yes. Sterling, I completely agree. I think Baelor is definitely top tier. Would have been one of the best. Viserys could have been great as Jaehaerys, if only sat at the throne earlier and didn't sire Aegon IV. Yeah, I think Viserys II is one of the most underrated Targaryens within history, or as a king. And Viserys is someone that I still rank in my top 5, even though he only reigned like a year. And the reason, you know, I rank him like that high is because I also look at Viserys was kind of acting almost as the king for 40 years. Yes, he was Hand of the King, but let's remember who he was the Hand of the King for, right? You look at people like Baelor. You look at people like, again, Daeron, who was off invading Dorne, wasn't ruling. You look at Aegon III, who didn't really enjoy ruling. He was someone that really struggled with depression, and he didn't really like ruling. That was kind of more of a Viserys thing, in that relationship between the two. So I really do like Viserys. Laenor should have died. I agree. All right, so let's move on. Viserys overwhelmingly beat Laenor. I thought that one might have been a little closer just because of the show, but it was not close at all. Moving on. Now, this is an interesting one. I think I know which one you guys are going to pick here, but we have Aegon III, a character I was just talking about, and we also have Daemon Blackfyre. So it's kind of interesting. I'm doing the top Targaryens and having Daemon in this because he kind of is like the arch rival for really the second half of the Targaryen dynasty because of basically what he causes. But we then see Aegon III, who is a character I'm very sympathetic towards. I really love his kind of character arc. And we'll see that on House of the Dragon, you know, maybe towards the very tail end. But I don't know, man. This is like one of the top tier characters in Targaryen lore, and Daemon versus Aegon, who in my opinion is very underrated, kind of like Viserys. So I don't know. I'm wondering what they're going to do with Laenor, because they casted actors as the whole bastard. So are they going to kill him, or maybe he's already dead? I have no idea, Violet. I really don't know. Because the whole idea here is going to be, okay, what are they doing with Sea Smoke? Right? Like, how are they going to explain why Sea Smoke is able to be ridden? Because here's the thing, like, in this scenario, Laenor is still alive. There's just so many, like, question marks I have with that plot line. But I agree with you, Ashley, as well on that. My husband and I have been together for 8 years before we married. We were friends first, which I think makes our relationship so great because we have friendship with love. Yeah, I think it's the great point, Evie, to, again, I am not the best person to talk about this. I've only been in one relationship. And something that I took out of that relationship was trying to learn what things didn't work between us and things I want to improve going forward into a next relationship whenever I'm ready for that. And something I have considered what Evie's talking about here with her husband is like trying to be friends with someone first, because you'll inherently, if you're friends with someone, you're going to get to know more of their interests without it kind of being romantic right off the bat and the pressures of that. So you can kind of like get a feel for that person, what are their hobbies, who they are as a person, what is their character. That is something that I think is very beneficial, and you'll kind of gain that respect as being friends before like dating. So I really like that approach that you have done, Evie. And if you guys have been together for 8 years, I mean, it's definitely been successful. I mean, there are not a lot of, I think, marriages, nowadays that, last even that long, which I think is a very sad thing to say. Damon Blackfire is not at fault for the way his parents messed everything up. I think Damon Blackfire is a character that got screwed from a lot of different like ways. Yeah, a lot of people around him that I think pushed him into a situation where, I don't want to put this, where he was being pushed, told to root for all these people. Again, to rule. He is someone that we don't know a lot about who he was as a person necessarily. We see things like about him, but there's not a lot like there on like firsthand accounts, right? Like we don't know like what Damon was thinking. What did he think of Daron, right? What did he think of, say, the Dornish? We know that yes, his faction was anti-Dornish, but what did he think personally? What did he think about becoming king? Was it something that just over time, more and more people telling him that, oh, he's the guy that should be the king, he's the only one that can save the Targaryen dynasty because he is this great warrior, he looks like Aegon the Conqueror reborn. There's a lot of interesting things about Damon Blackfire, and that's why I think like doing a TV show after House of the Dragon, or at least the Dance of the Dragons period, doing Damon Blackfire and the first Blackfire Rebellion would be really interesting to do. And yeah, you kind of hit the head on the nail right there, is that Damon's parents, they weren't like the best people in the world. So yeah, I think that's an interesting point. I agree, Violet, though, on what you brought up. I don't buy that Sea Smoke wouldn't have gone looking for Laenor either. We saw Drogon do this with Dany countless times, sensing her danger, need for him. Yeah, and that's the thing, is that we're kind of led to believe that the dragons and their riders have this telepathic kind of connection, is the way I feel like the shows have brought this up. So the idea that Laenor would still be alive and his dragon wouldn't sense that and would be fine with taking up another rider is something I don't really buy into. So I'd have to see how they would do it, how they try to explain it. I just don't know that. I forgot most of A Song of Ice and Fire lore. That's okay, Ander. There are parts in A Song of Ice and Fire lore that I'm very like, I just don't know that well. I think a perfect time period for me that I don't know too well is like I would say like the second half of Aegon III's reign into like, I would say like the start of Baelor the Blessed, his reign. I have a very gray area in there, but Targaryens is overrated. He destroyed two of the strongest bannermen, caused the South to lose. Mar, I'm not sure what you're trying to say there. And Bloodraven says a brother he loved. I'd like to think he was Daemon to add to the... Yeah, that's a really cool idea. I had never heard of that idea until I started like watching History of Westeros' ideas on that. And that's something I think that's very interesting. Thinking that instead of Daeron, which I think is kind of more of the... I would say on your first read or your first take of it, you would think it's probably Daeron because Bloodraven fought on Daeron's side. But it would be really interesting if we saw that Bloodraven, the brother he loved, was Daemon. The one he hates would be Bittersteel, obviously, and then the one he loved would be Shiera. It would be interesting is if the reason that Bloodraven actually went to Daeron's side was not because he liked Daeron, it's because he hated Bittersteel that much and wanted to get rid of Bittersteel. So that is kind of why he went against Daemon, even though he actually really loved his brother. So that would be an interesting twist on like the human heart in conflict type that George really loves. So, yeah, and Catalina, that's what I always thought as well, is that Daeron, but I think it is an interesting take that Daemon could be that person. I really like the idea. I'm kind of like 50-50 on that, right, on who Bloodraven loved as the brother. I just remember parts and places from the Conquest to Robert's Rebellion. Yeah, I'm someone that, like, I know pretty well Fire and Blood outside of, like, parts of Jaehaerys' reign. And then there's like that gray area before like Viserys kind of comes to being in the end of the reign. And then I would say my knowledge kind of dips off around when like Aegon the Fifth becomes king. The show shows the bond between the Rider and the Dragon in the scenes with Daemon and Caraxes in the Stepstones, and when Rhaenyra is in childbirth for Visenya, and Syrax is reacting to Rhaenyra. Yeah, and that's my whole problem, Evie, is like they've kind of established in the show that there is that connection. And we even get more of that insight with, you know, Viserys' speech with Rhaenyra, where, you know, we do not control the dragons. That whole speech, it's kind of building on that idea. And that's kind of like, that's one thing that they tried to do with the Vhagar, like, accident death, is that Aemond did not have control over Vhagar in that moment. Vhagar was acting kind of off of instinct, being attacked, and Aemond was not in control. I don't really love that take particularly. I wish they kind of would have gone a different way. But again, it shows this idea that there is that telepathic thing going on between the dragon and the rider that I don't really feel like you can just dismiss. So there has to be some reason as to why Seasmoke would take another rider. Also, we are at 50-50 on the vote in the poll. So if you have not voted in the poll, please do. You will be the deciding vote. If not, I will choose. So, Shiera does choose Bloodraven, but the two never get married, I think is basically what ends up happening. Daemon never sat the throne. He never reigned. That is true, Josh. Also, my throat and / my ear has been bothering me today. And, oh, this hot tea before stream and during stream, oh, it's been putting in a shift. It's got to put in a great shift because I'm so far behind on doing videos and exercises and stuff today. All right, Daemon Blackfire won. I'll get into that in a second. I wanted to make sure we got through this round or whatever. All right, so Daemon wins. We now have Visenya versus Jace. I don't think Jace is going to win this round, unfortunately. But, you know, there's always a shot. I think Visenya is by far one of the most intriguing Targaryens. And I really don't think Jace holds up to that. So, yeah, I don't know, man. You guys, if you guys could be real big Jace fans and you could really hate Visenya, maybe. But I don't think this one's going to be close either. Yes, it is green tea, but yeah, today was a very busy day. So I'm going on kind of like a family trip that we go on literally every year, basically. There's like this weekend period where we basically go to, it's basically a Civil War, like, fort, more or less. And by Civil War, I mean American Civil War. And we go there every weekend, so, again, kind of had to get the car ready because I wanted to make sure, you know, I had to get an oil change. So I had to call to get an oil change. I don't remember. Technically, my mom called because I was busy with some other stuff. Had to get some of my pills for my hair today. It was just a busy day. Had physical therapy at 2 o'clock, which was pretty intense today. I won't lie, but I feel my back feels much better today. So there's that. And And then had to prepare the stream because I didn't have a chance to do that last night. And then after the stream, probably gonna get some more tea. It also is green tea, Matthew. Dude, my cat's hair is like, I don't know, it's like in this room right now, and it's like getting all over my nose right now. But yeah, I gotta record tomorrow's rereadings. I'm gonna need some more tea. Gotta edit that tonight, and then hopefully prepare some videos. But yeah. Did you see the deleted scene of Aemond after Vhagar kills Luke and makes him look even more guilty? I did not, Violet. There are similarities between the bonds of dragons with Targaryens and the bonds of the direwolves and the Stark children. Yeah, I think they're very similar, especially the way the show plays it more than the book, because you don't have the most amount of information on the relationship between the dragons and their riders in the books as much, because again, Dany's kind of like the only first-hand person with dragons, because again, the only other first-person narratives that we hear would be the Dunk and Egg stuff. The dragons were already gone by then. Fire and Blood's written by maesters, not the Targaryens, so they wouldn't really know. Same thing with the history of World of Ice and Fire, and I was about to say history of Westeros. So again, yeah. I've been drinking more liquor. I don't even know. Is that liquor? It's not licorice. I don't know what that root is, but root tea lately? Okay. All right. Visenya gave us Maegor, though. Visenya did give us Maegor. That's true. She might have killed Aenys. Dude, what is going on, man? There's this is the problem with having a very fluffy cat or dog or animal, is that they just get their hair everywhere. A big Civil War guy? Yeah, I mean, I used to be when I was a lot younger, and it's not really because of the Civil War Museum. It's there, and that's where our hotel is. But it's more for because there's a river down there that we go to. There's just stuff around there, and my family have been going there since before I was born. My grandparents would have us go there every summer. So it's kind of just a tradition now at this point. I've seen the Civil War Museum at least let's see, I'm 23, so at least probably 25 times. I mean, it's kind of old at this point, and I've already seen it once this summer, so I don't know. Oh my god, dude. I'm really struggling, guys. Who would win the fight, though? Let's see. Who would win the fight? Visenya or Jace? Visenya is 100% winning. It's not even close. What's the caffeine content of it at any? I am not actually sure, Sterling. I'm not sure. Dragon Riders equal skin changers? Oh, that's a spicy theory, Diamond. I like it, though. Jace is better to diplomacy, where Visenya just defaults to threats. Visenya formed the Kingsguard, but based off an existing order. Jace's legacy was the Stark cementing the Black's bloodline. That's true. But I think Visenya had a different circumstance, right? Visenya, had Vhagar. No one's fucking with Vhagar. You can, Visenya can be someone that threatens people and use that very effectively because of Vhagar. Jace did not have that same luxury, where Jace needed to be more diplomatic. Just got here. What's going on? Well, we're on Visenya and Jace, and currently my nose is dying because my cat, have their hair, everywhere in the room right now. I mean, based on fight or based on the better character or who your favorite character is? We were just trying to talk about in a fight. Jace could still torch Winterfell. No comment. Oh, by the way, for any of my people in here that are crossover fans of me and House of the Stag, the guy I've done collabs with on this channel, he is now not named that anymore. It's Voice of Old Town, and I've known this for months. He told me this months in advance, and man, I just can't do collabs with him anymore. I can't do collabs with Green supporters. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. He's a fan of the. Okay. He's not. The name is not about the Greens, but he supports Aegon the Usurper. That's all I have to say. That's all I have to say. He said in his video that he's still a black supporter. Well, here's the thing. Whenever I've talked to him about it, he's a no side supporter. He's just kind of he's like a Varys. He's a Varys type of guy, right? He's like I'm for the people, and I'm just like I spit on you. Yeah. I love his name though. It's a really good name because it's like you're doing a podcast, so you're kind of sending out this, like, you know, you doing your thing to people, and you're also, if you're relating it to A Song of Ice and Fire, Old Town is where all the ravens get sent out, so it makes perfect sense. It's a fantastic name. It also ties into like the High Towers with the House of the Dragon right now. Really good name. I love the name. It made me like think like, what would I rebrand this channel's name to if I was gonna make it A Song of Ice and Fire related? I'm just not creative. Like, names are just like, ugh, I don't know how to do names. Naming stuff, like, I understand why there are like 18 Aegons, because I wouldn't want to make up names either if I was George. I forgot, who is the bigger dragon? I believe it's Vhagar, because Vhagar has more time to like live and get bigger. So I would assume it's Vhagar. Yeah, he should be canceled, Violet. I agree. He said in his... Oh, I already read that. But yeah, I don't know. I think he's just pleasing the people with that statement. But yeah, he did change his name, Jim. He hasn't uploaded in a while because he's been doing some things with like a play and stuff like that, which seems really cool, really cool opportunity. So hopefully he'll be back uploading soon. Hopefully we'll get a collab with him soon. But yeah. I definitely don't support the greens, but the only reason I have any level of support for the blacks is because I love Rainey's. Otherwise, I'd be neutral. Ashley, that's almost treasonous, what you just said. It's unrelated to the Civil War, but I found out a part of the family was originally from Pennsylvania during the Revolution. My family stayed loyal to the crown and drove out by Americans. Oh, boy. Hey, don't hate the player, hate the game. That's all I got to say. And I'm just saying, you know, I think I'm like 30 or 40% German. I don't remember what my like DNA test came out to be, but I think it was like 30 or 40% German. Go Team Green. That Matthew, I almost unmodded you when I read that. Arya will enter Nymeria's mind until her presence vanish and her body will remain in the house of black and white. Brandon is going to be a werewood or something. Make a video about this theory. I will consider it Mar. When the dragons are alive, I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that Meraxes is the bigger than Vhagar, but I don't know where I read that. I'm not sure, Violet. I would assume by like the end of it, because again, Meraxes dies much earlier than Vhagar does, that by the time Vhagar ends up like dying, that Vhagar is probably bigger. But during the time, yeah, I don't know. I don't like Rhaenyra Grease. I will never forgive her for Rook's Rest. Ashley, you're just a hater. You know, you're just a hater. Okay, Rhaenyra is the queen. And that's all I got to say. But yeah, all right. So, Visenya seems like she kind of destroyed Jace. Kind of saw that coming. I think Visenya is just cooler in every possible way. But Jace tried. Oh, here's an interesting one. Okay. I don't think this one's particularly going to be close either, but these are two very compelling characters. So on one hand, we have Aemon the Dragon Knight. Okay. And on the other side, we have Daeron the Daring, the child of Viserys and Alicent, the one we have not seen on Hot D yet. So, for all of the book fans, which I'm assuming most of you are, this is an interesting one, because Daeron, to me, is by far my favorite green character, Team Green character. But Aemon the Dragon Knight is like one of the, like, in my opinion, like one of the top 10 Targaryens. So, we're Rhaenyra simps around here. Damn straight we are. I'll drink to that. I think George R. R. Martin messed up the dragon sizes from a Game of Thrones compared to Fire and Blood in more recent books. I wouldn't know, Josh. That's one thing I'm not really, like, I don't know all the dragon names, and I don't know all their sizes and stuff. That's something I don't have great knowledge on. Rhaenys is the one true queen. I mean, I won't argue with you there. I think if Rhaenys had been the queen over Viserys, things would have gone better. Aemon the Dragon Knight has the best rep in canon. I don't know, man. He might have been sleeping with his sister wife and popped out Daeron the second. So I don't know, man. I don't know. Team Blackfire. You know, Jesse, I can't disagree with you on that. You know, I really do like the Blackfires. I think they're very interesting. I have a Blackfire painting in my room. You guys can't see it on... Well, hold on. Yeah, no, you guys really can't see it on stream, but it's like over that way. It's like past this Stark banner over there by my closet. I don't know why I was struggling with the word of closet. But yeah. I like that, Mar. I like your theory. I'm still hyped to find out what happened to Red Rob Rivers. We never learned about his fate. There you go, random stuff. Don't slander my girl Neris like that. Whoa. Who said I was slandering Neris like that? Also, she is on here for people that are worried about that. But it's, you know, I can't blame the girl. You either have Aemon, probably the best Targaryen like fighter of all time. Basically your equivalent of the quarterback on the football team. Versus Aegon, the drunk, fat idiot who probably may have abused her at some point. But, like, I can't, there's no hate. No hate there. Yo, Aemon won that triumph combat, so to say otherwise is to blast me this... I don't know, man. I don't know. I adore Targaryens named Aemon because they are such great characters. I agree. Try not to spoil the series for us, please. Mar, this may be probably the worst stream possible for you to be in if you do not want spoilers. Because I have to talk about the characters when they pop up, so, like... This may not be the place. This may not be the place, Mar. But I will, you know, I will keep that in mind. To be honest, I find the Targaryens to be boring, and I hate George's obsession with them. I wish he would write more Stark lore. Jesse, see, that's where me and you depart. The Targaryens are my favorite house. Maybe that would change if we got more lore on a lot more of the other houses, but, like, I love the Targaryens. They're all messed up and have all types of family issues, and I love it. Grease, if all other contenders were out, who do you think would win, and who would you support, Young Griff or Stannis? Oh, I'm supporting Stannis. Oh, wait, hold on. If I was... See, here's the thing. I like Stannis as a character. But if you want me to be honest, it would probably be much more enjoyable as a commoner to support Young Griff than to support Stannis. But if I'm looking at it from the book, I'm reading it, and it's Stannis versus Young Griff, I would want Stannis to win. But again, if I was the average person, probably would want Young Griff. Yeah, I would love to get more lore on House Dane and Manderley. That'd be great. I feel like Starks have a lot of lore like the Targaryens. Yeah, I mean, probably wasn't the best example because the Starks do have a lot of lore. They could always, you know, have more, right? But, you know, they are one of the other houses that have probably the most lore outside of the Targaryens. The Stanner man will hear about this. Oh boy. Oh boy. Don't tell on me. Don't tell on me. You guys telling me I'm going to support Renly. Do you think Marjorie will die? To the first part of that question, yes. And how? I think it'll be probably either a mixture of Cersei could kill her. I think it could be a situation where she just gets killed as collateral damage. She isn't even the main target. Again, we have a lot of forces competing for keeping King's Landing. Marjorie's in a very awkward position because she's married to Tommen. I just think there's a lot of potential for her to die. And do you think House Martell will die? the House Martell has a lot of children that are probably bastards that could claim the Martell name. So I'm going to say the House Martell doesn't die off completely, but like all of the main ones we know about, yes. When House Peak has more lore than House Dane, we have a problem. Yeah, you're probably right on that, Josh. I hate House Peak. They genuinely should die. I kind of hope like House Peak just goes extinct. Do you think anything will come from Oliver Frey being the heir to Rosby? That I can think of right now off the top of my head, no, Josh. All right, let's move on. Aemon will go forward. Unfortunate for Daeron. You know, I think he's a fantastic character. Definitely did not deserve to go out this early. But, you know, he got a rough match. All right, moving on. We have Hot D Reyna. That sounded really weird when I said that, but yeah, we have Reyna versus Nerys. We were just talking about this character. I really don't have a preference for who wins this one, if you guys want me to be honest. If I had to pick one, I'd say Nerys. I think she's just more fundamental to the story. I think she's more interesting for me, and I just like her character a lot more. But who knows? I think the best house for lore, other than the Targaryens, has to be House Martell. Okay. I think the Baratheons also have good lore, because they're constantly, like, tied with the Targaryens. I think the Velaryons in, like, the first half of history have a ton of lore to them as well. I think any house that you pick that is tied to the Targaryens, they are very, like, they usually have a lot of lore for the Targaryen reign. Who's Nerys again? Nerys is the wife of Aegon IV. Her relevance for a lot of the actual story is that, well, one, she births Daeron II, but there is a lot of controversy around Daeron's parentage, because Aegon kind of is insinuating, putting out rumors slyly that Nerys and Aemon the Dragon Knight are actually Daeron's parents. And also we see that, again, Aemon and Nerys are very close. So the real question is, like, how close were they? And that's a lot of Nerys' like, I guess, role in the story. She's also kind of a leader of the faction of the Daeron faction, the kind of the pro-Dornish, what we see the Targaryen family eventually being in. Aegon IV's faction, who I would say is like basically like the Blackfire faction later on. So that's kind of Nerys' like, you know, thing. Reyna is barely a character. Yeah, that's something I could say with a lot of the Velaryons. They were very much wasted, but you are right. It's funny that you bring that up, Mar, because I just got done doing my Tyrion notes, and that's brought up again of the idea of Tyrion losing his tongue. I really like that, Mar, that he loses his tongue by the end of it. Do I think it'll happen? No. But would I be surprised? No, as well. So, not gonna lie, I'd love there to be a literal King's Landing scene in the book as well, but I don't think that Book Tommen would do it. I'm not sure what you're referring to, random stuff. Aegon IV versus... That's not even a question, Matthew. Like, Aegon IV is so much worse than Maegor. Like, yes, Maegor may have been extreme, and he was a cruel guy, right? He was not a person you wanted to work for. But at the same time, at least he got shit done for House Targaryen. He set up Jaehaerys to be in a great position. He put down rebellions. He is someone that disarmed the faith, which is something that needed to be done at some point for the Targaryens. Aegon IV, quite literally, did nothing good. He has a failed attack on the Dornish, which was laughable. He is someone that quite literally puts all of the seeds together for the first Blackfire rebellion to happen, which is, again, we see these rebellions happen all the way down the line. Like, the last Targaryen, or not Targaryen, Blackfire Rebellion happened within, like, the time frame of Song of Ice and Fire. Barristan was in it. Like, he was a young man, or a young, like, kid, basically. But, again, he created a lot of those issues. He was someone that was actively going against his son, Daeron, causing issues. Like, Maegor, for all of his faults, did things that were inherently good. He wasn't a great guy, and he did some bad things, but he did a lot of things that were needed to, like, get done. Oh, the scene where Tommen jumped out of the window, there were jokes about being a literal king. Oh, yeah, okay. I don't know. I don't know if Tommen would do that. I don't think that's his fate. Aegon's fourth wildfire dragons he tried using on. Yeah, that was really bad, Josh. Really bad. I want a first season of a show with Aegon the Fourth. Yeah, and I think Jim, if you were gonna do a Blackfire Rebellion, this is something me and House the Stag talked about. I don't know if the second part of it actually came out. I know he got really busy around the time we were doing that collab, and I know he put the first part out, and we had like tons of issues with that recording session because basically his computer was really struggling, and even on my collab, the last collab I did with him, the audio was really out of sync, so I had to go back in editing and separate all of like the audio and the video for both of us. So you guys probably didn't notice, but that video took forever. The point of the story was, I think in either the first or the second part, I talked about how would I start it, and I think the way you would start that show is very similar to the way that House of the Dragon started, where you would have, again, Aegon the Fourth in, I guess maybe not the earlier parts of his reign, but towards, like, you come in, Aegon the Fourth is this guy who's not a great king. We see the problems developing between his faction, the Aemon faction, Nerys faction, Daeron faction, and then by the end of it, you would see Aegon die, and then we would see the the Blackfire stuff basically kick up from there. Then the Blackfire Rebellion, the next seasons. Yeah, I agree, Jim. I think that'd be a really good way of doing that. It was bad morally for killing those people who built the tunnels, but it was the smart. Yeah, I agree with that, right? I think a lot of things that Maegor did, they were cruel, right? But at the same time, they were a lot of smart things for House Targaryen. A lot of things that needed to get done. And he was kind of the scapegoat, right? He got the bad reputation for things that Jaehaerys would have had to handle regardless. So, again, we want to look at the idea of when Jaehaerys and Alysanne get married, right? They were not supposed to marry. Because of, again, the faith. We just saw how this played out with Aegon and Rhaena, Aenys' kids. But they go against that. And that would not have happened, probably, or it would not have been able to happen as easily if it wasn't for Maegor. Because the Faith Militant would have came after him. The Poor Fellows would have came after him, whatever. That wouldn't have happened. That's a lot of things that Maegor did. And again, Josh points this out specifically. Maegor walked so Jaehaerys could run. Josh, I did not put Jon Snow on here, just based upon the fact that in the story currently, there is no rumor of Jon being a Targaryen, none of that. That's a fan, like, thing. We, as a fan, believe that he's probably a Targaryen, or most people maybe. Whereas a character like Aegon, the Phaegon in the story, I put him in there because, again, he's basically trying to say that he is Aegon Rhaegar's kid, and until proven otherwise, for now, he's a Targaryen. Even if he's a Blackfire, he's still a Targaryen, so he'd be on this list, but yeah. I don't think anyone will know about the truth about Jon's parents. Those who will know are Jon, Holland, and I think that Holland will die one way or another. I don't know if you're talking about Howland Reed, I'm assuming is who you're talking about there. I think Howland is someone that would know, so I think you're right there. I think it's also possible we see, like, just like the show, Bran gets a vision of that happening as well, just kind of back that information up. I think the way that the show handled actually getting to the point of why Jon was a Targaryen, or how that happens, does to a degree make sense. Maybe Sam found something. I don't know if that would be done. Like, if that would be in the records of Old Town and nobody would know. So I don't know about that part of it, but I do think, like, having a bunch of different people coming together that found out the information makes it a lot more digestible. That would be an interesting topic to talk about, what Jaehaerys would have done if Maegor didn't destroy the faith. Yeah, I think it's weird to think about, because if we also look at that point, right? Jaehaerys and Alysanne didn't really have the support of everyone at this point, right? Like, Annie's his wife. I believe I always struggle on her name. Is it Alyssa Velaryon? I don't remember her name exactly, but she is someone that did not want this marriage to happen. Again, we saw what happened before. To me, it's something that, if the circumstances were different, could have been much more dire for House Targaryen. Howland Reed has done nothing in the main story. I'm wondering why. I think for story reasons, it makes sense. Because George doesn't want to bring in Howland Reed into the story yet, because regardless of who Jon's parents are, whether you believe it's Ned and Shara, whether you believe whatever you want to believe, Howland Reed's probably going to know that information. So if George was to then bring this character up and say a Game of Thrones, well, we would be sitting here going, okay, why wasn't it brought up that, like, Howland knows the parentage? So it kind of fits perfectly, like, with what Jon is saying here, where, okay, we save Howland Reed, also with people with Rob's will coming to, again, that area. And then you can do this big reveal later on in the books. You find out who Jon's parentage are. It makes more sense story-wise to save that and have that later down the road. So let's move on. Who won the vote? Nares, I believe. Yes, Nares won the vote. All right, moving on. We have an interesting one here. So we've got Luke Velaryon versus Daena Targaryen. This is the mother of Daemon Blackfyre, for those of you that do not know. So we'll have Daena versus Luke. I think these are two ones where I'm not too high on either one. So, I mean, you can pick who you want here. By the way, I kind of did a disservice to Joffrey Velaryon. He's the only one of Rhaenyra's kids I didn't put on here. So, unfortunate for him. But, yeah. I kind of had the impression from Mira that Howland isn't at Greywater Watch. Her reaction to Bran saying he wanted to go there and meet him seemed off. Yeah, I think that's a fair point. I think Howland could maybe be doing some other stuff. He is, again, one of Ned's most trusted friends. It would be weird to see that Howland's kind of not really taking a lot of action. We do know Jaehaerys could be ruthless, so I think him being pushed could have drove him to the dark side of the Targaryens. Yeah, he could have ended up similar to, like, a character like Maegor the Cruel. Right, and let's think about Jaehaerys' reputation. Given that, in this scenario, he is the one that has to deal with the faith. How would he be viewed? Right, we know that the histories are very much skewed. Again, written by Macers, written by Septons, written by all these people, right? They would not have looked back on Jaehaerys as favorably. Because again, like I talked about, Maegor kind of takes the hit for all of those things that were very beneficial to the Targaryens, but are not necessarily seen as good by the general public. So again, I think Jaehaerys would have been viewed in a much different light, and I don't think he would have had as much, like, support in this scenario. Daena the Defiant wins just based on her nickname. Yeah, she has a fantastic nickname. Jaehaerys' PR team was working overtime. Yes, Violet. Yes. 100%. I did not think this was going to take this long, but we are definitely not getting through this very quickly. This is going to be probably a multi-part stream series. Probably. It should go quicker as we, like, eliminate some of them, but yeah. So Luke is beating Daena fairly easily right now, which I think is kind of interesting. I'm going to let this one go for a little while. This is going to be a close one. That was not what I was trying to do. Sorry, I just put you on blast, Violet, because I accidentally pinned your comment. But, yeah. All right. I think this is the last one we are going to do, so I'm going to let this go till about 7, and then we'll kind of finish this one out, and we'll, you know, do another stream next week. I can't really do that long of a stream today. One, my voice is kind of giving out, and 2, I have a lot of stuff I have to still do tonight, so yeah. But, yeah, thank you guys all for coming into the stream tonight. I appreciate you all, as always. Hope you enjoyed seeing the cat. Maybe he will make an appearance in another stream at some point. But, alright, let's move. Luke Valarian has taken the dub over Dana the Defiant. And he will face Aegon II. Very interesting little match there for the next round. We probably won't get there for maybe 2 more streams, probably. The cat's name is Sky. It is not Balerion, unfortunately. But yeah, thank you guys all for watching the stream. I will see you guys all in the next one. And I hope you guys all have a great and fantastic